I'd been looking for one of these for quite some time, and I just couldn't find one here in the US. It is a York 60 millimeter. This came from the UK, and the gentleman that was so kind to cover it when the other one was lost, he goes by the Tool Addict. Very kind of you to do that. The original one was almost new. It was pretty pristine, and I was going to be very reluctant to repaint it. I personally don't like red vices. I don't know if I will repaint this one or not. Probably clean it up and see what it looks like, and if I decide to paint it, I won't feel so bad because it's not, well, it's actually still got it's original paint, and it's got an original sticker on it. I will most likely just clean it up and service it. So stick around, see what I do with it. It's actually been a couple of months since I filmed the intro to this video. I was unsure what I wanted to do with this little York 60 millimeter. And my plan is I'm just going to do a preservation on it for now, give it a good cleaning, and let it speak to me. When I'm doing preservations of any tool, I always go by the mindset of less is more. So I'm going to give it a scrubbing with soap and water. Then I'm going to hit it with steel wool and WD-40. And if it talks to me and says it needs a little more love, then I'll step it up a bit. So come with me and let's see what happens. Okay, I have cleaned this with some Dawn dish liquid and a little bit of Simple Green. Scrubbed it with a nylon brush, nothing too abrasive. Normally, I would have taken it outside and hit it with an air compressor to get all the water off. And I always do that when I intend to blue parts, just to make sure all the water is gone. But since I'm going to be spraying this down with WD-40 to facilitate the next step of the process and cleaning, water dispersing, I'm just going to go ahead and spray it down and use this. Just get all the vise parts sprayed down nice and liberally. So what I have here is triple lot steel wool. If you can find it, I would use the finest steel wool you could possibly get. I couldn't get it, so this is what I'm using. And I'm just lightly scrubbing any excess rust off of the surface to make it smoother and to help prevent it from rusting further. And it cleans it up a little bit as I go. Again, this is a preservation for now. I may go further with it in the future, but for now, I just want to do a preservation to see how it turns out. I'm very, very tempted to repaint it, but because it's an original paint, has original sticker on it, beautiful patina, I don't want to change it too much. Just gonna lightly scrub it, get some of the heavy rust off of it, and leave as much beautiful history as I possibly can. And for some, I may be taking off too much history, too much patina. But for those of you that think that, at least I'm not stripping it and repainting it. Because I'm tempted. You can feel the excess, the newer rust, if you will. You can feel it on the parts when you're going over it with the steel wool. And you can tell when it's gone because it becomes smooth. It's not as rough. So I'm just barely rubbing on that, and a lot of that heavy rust is coming right off. Depending on how much patina you want to save, don't rub too hard because it comes off. You just clean it up as much as you want or as little as you want. I really wish y'all could ghost this with me and feel exactly how lightly I'm actually going over this. I'm not wanting to be aggressive at all. I don't want to try to take off any of this paint, but any of the imperfections and dirt and grease that's just kind of embedded in it, I want that to come off. So on the bare metal parts, I'm actually being a little more aggressive to get the rust off. The painted parts, you want to be gentle. I would say you can even use a brass brush. It's a little bit more aggressive, but like I said, it's on bare metal, and I want it to be as smooth as possible. I'm very tempted to get some sandpaper out and knock off the paint that they've got on this bearing surface, but I'm not. I'm going to keep it as original as possible. Oof. Has a raised ridge right there. I am so tempted to get a file after that. I am going to get a file after that. Don't tell anybody. Okay, y'all close y'all's eyes. I'm going to get a file after that. I can't stand that. think maybe I was wrong. It was just a raised paint. Well, good. I am so tempted to smooth this out, but it's not horrible. I am going to get the rest of the paint off of it. I'm so tempted to take that to like start off maybe with an 800 grit sandpaper and smooth it out. But now that I know that that was not metal casting, I'm pleased about that. And that handle, man, that handle turned out really well. That feels good. I'm glad I did that mod. All right, I'm just finishing cleaning up these small parts. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna head outside and spray the body, most of the other parts off with brake cleaner to get all the nastiness, residue and stuff off that I didn't get with this rag. I mean, this is what's coming off of the parts. So I wanna make sure I get all that off. I'm gonna hit it real quick and just wipe it down. And then I'm gonna reassemble it. Grease and oil parts as needed, get it reassembled, and wait to use it. I am gonna use it. Maybe once or twice, just to say that I have, but I've got plenty of other vices. I don't wanna mess this one up. I did not hit this with brake cleaner. I took my own advice and I did less is more. I went to the sink and hit it with Dawn dish soap. If it's good enough to clean Valdez oil off ducts, I figured it's good enough to get the dirt and grime and grease that was left over from scrubbing it with the steel wool and the wire brush. I have some old gun oil, some Royal Purple that I've had for decades, and this special sauce. This is 80% motor oil and 20% grease. It works really well. So let me get this put back together and we'll take another look at it. I really like using this oil and grease mixture. It's fluid enough that it gets in everywhere and it's not gummy and tacky, and it just works. I've found that it works really well. See how well choosing the correct bit fits your fasteners? That's what I'm talking about. I don't know why I hadn't always used these on tools. Always use them on my firearms, but for some reason I never thought about it until I marred up some screws on a vintage woodworking tool and the screws and fasteners were proprietary. I had to chase them down and ended up paying almost $20 to get replacement screws. So do yourself a favor. If you don't have one of these gunsmithing kits, go get one. If you're going to be doing a lot of work on vintage tools, it is very, very worth it. There we go. Just a light coat. This bottom part really doesn't need the grease for friction reduction. I've already got that here on this base plate, but I'm putting it on here more of a rust preventative. You could use paste wax or oil, or you just pick your poison. Giving a quick wipe down with some Ballistol. The only reason I'm using Ballistol, it's nothing special, I just prefer the smell of it. And this is going in the living room for now until I need to use it. So I think it's very cool that now that I cleaned it up, you can actually read, it says made in, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, KOVCSI. Kind of hard to make out, but I didn't even know that was there until I cleaned it up. All right, well, that was the cleaning and preservation of this 60mm York. Again, I would like to thank the Tool Addict. Thank you very much for making this happen, getting this to me all the way from the UK. It is greatly appreciated. If y'all don't know who that is, go check him out on YouTube. I'll put a link to his website or his YouTube in the description. Some of the purists out there may think that I took this a little too far in the cleaning, but I like it. I think it turned out good, and I didn't go overboard with it. And to any of you that think that it did go a little too far, just be glad I didn't repaint it, because I really wanted to get rid of the red. Anyways, if you liked the video, I've never asked this before, please share it with somebody that you think would get enjoyment out of this or gain some knowledge from it. I would love to grow my channel, and it takes viewers like y'all to help me do it. If you like Vise videos, stay tuned. I've got some coming up. I've got at least a dozen vices that I need to clean, preserve, go over the top with. This big 4.5 inch is going to be a project. Currently working on this little Bonnie, and I just purchased a vintage or antique simplex vise for a friend of mine. She said that she wanted a vise for her garage, so I'm going to be going over the top with that for her, and I've got a bunch of other vices. So if you like Vise videos, stay tuned, they're coming. Thank y'all again for watching. Until next time, get out there and save something from being forgotten and live a big life. Come on, y'all, feel it with me. Ghost it with me. Let's get in the moment.